Welcome back to News 3 Today. This holiday season, Savannah's Davenport House Museum is hosting special tours the entire family can enjoy that will take visitors back to the early 19th century. Jamie Cradle is the director of the Davenport House Museum. She joins us now with more. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Kim. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you as well, and a very special happy holidays at the Davenport House Museum because you're taking folks on this unique tour.
Yes, holiday. Well, the house is decorated for end-of-year holidays. When about 200 years ago, people didn't celebrate Christmas the way that we do by decorating their homes. But New Year's was the big holiday. Mutual congratulations, feasting, and merriment were the themes that were written up in the newspaper. People visited and were just happy to have made it through another year.
Tell us what folks can expect when they come in for this tour.
Well, for our evening tours, there are going to be people in costume in each room, and we're going to talk about a different theme in each room. And then up in the bedroom level, we'll have a demonstration of how the story A Night Before Christmas was discovered by a family in Savannah, and they'll reenact that. And at the end of the evening, we'll have a demonstration of early 19th century dancing. For those people who come earlier in the evening, they could come back. That's about 10 minutes of 9 each evening from the 26th through the 30th.
And this is all done by candlelight.
Well, simulated candlelight, because that would be a little bit dangerous for the whole house. But yeah, it looks like it's candlelight, and we hope that people get that little glimpse of an idea of what it may have been like to be at a holiday celebration about 200 years ago. We'll sing Old Lang Syne and be happy that we're there.
And you're asking participants if they're able to move around. There's a lot of movement in this, so you should be able to walk up and down stairs.
Up and down stairs and maneuver in candlelit rooms. Because that's what we do. So if you wanted to come during the day, you'd still need to be able to do maneuver up and down the steps, yes.
So for folks who've never been to the Davenport House, tell us a little bit about what the museum has to offer.
Well, the Davenport House was built 200 years ago. Next year, 2020 is going to be its birthday for 200 years, and it's one of these houses that's withstood the test of time. And because we know what the Davenports owned in 1820, 1830, that's how we interpret the house. And we talk about the port city during the 1820s because that's the period we have the most information. When the Davenports, Mr. Davenport, a builder, and his household lived there. So we hope that we get a glimpse of port city life at that time period. The interior looks the way it did, and we talk about both the Davenports and their enslaved household. We know their names, we know what they did, and we hopefully give people a real educational experience, a history experience in our city, something authentic that you can't get anyplace else.
What's one of the most fascinating stories you've heard?
Well, I think just the idea that Isaiah Davenport used this house as an example of his skill as a builder, and he wasn't the only person that worked on this house. We've recently found out that Ned, one of his enslaved servants, was a second-generation carpenter. So Ned built the house with Davenport, sort of co-equals in their skill. I think that's fascinating. We're continuing to uncover more information and ask new questions of the past, and that for me is the most interesting. It's not just the same. You can learn by research new information about the people that live there. We hope that that just continues forever.
All right, and in the meantime, if you'd like to attend the holiday evening tours by candlelight, it's at the Davenport House Museum that's located on East State Street here in Savannah, December 26th through the 30th from 6 until 8:30 p.m.?
Yeah, last entrance at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
You enter at 8 o'clock, you'll be able to get a complete experience, family-oriented, people in costume, cider and shortbread while you wait. So I think it's a fun way to experience the city.
All right, thank you, Jamie, for joining us today.
Thank you, Kim.
Stay with us. We'll be back with a final check of your forecast.